If you'll be kind of person that you always stop when you fail doing something, then you're never going to achieve anything. Because failure is part of the process. If you don't fail, then you are to fail. You will fail one day. So we must know that failure is part of the process. And just the fact that you're failing, it doesn't mean that you cannot achieve your goals or your dreams. Okay. But when you fail, the most important thing for you to achieve, you need to sit down and to evaluate yourself. Do the root cause analysis. Why did I fail? This is the journey to One Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to our dialogue. Today on the show, we'll be talking about Pan-Africanism and how African citizens and One Africa advocates need to work in unison toward realizing the aspirations for the Africa we want. In this regard, my guest today is Mika Chabala, who is joining me from Tanzania. He is a public figure and a strong Pan-Africanist who has been advocating for a robust, unified Africa. With the program, I'm Shifara Olako. Do stay with us. Mika, thank you so much for joining me and for making the time to talk to us on such important matter, which is unity among Africans.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Let me just jump into the first question. I know that you love Ethiopia. And
so much.
Yeah, so I think we should start our discussion with this. So what exactly does Ethiopia mean to you personally, and what does it mean to the continent of Africa in general?
First of all, let me say salam net, everybody. And Amaseganalo, thank you for having me here. Ethiopia, I've said this multiple times that Ethiopia for me is the mother of Africa. And to me, what it means, I think Ethiopia, it means the beginning of the struggle for Africa's unity. The nature of this motherland, the symbol of Black power when it comes to Africa, because this is the country that you look at it and realize that, oh, Africa, we are actually able to fight. We are able to fight for our heritage and for our culture, for our values, for our traditions, to make sure that our families and our people are remaining secured. So when I look at Ethiopia, that's what I feel. But most importantly, I started to visit different countries in Africa and Ethiopia. That was the very first country that recognized me. And I was invited, and I went there within a single year 5 times. The love that I got from the country, it was outrageous. The hospitality from the people, it was outrageous. So for me, when I look at Africa, Ethiopia is my second home. Actually, I would say it is my home, because my struggle and my fights for One Africa, it started there. And I launched it in Ethiopia because of the love, because of the cooperation, and historically, where Ethiopia is and how it has always been in the front line to fight for the unity of this continent. That is for me. And I think for the rest of Africa, we'll all agree that Ethiopia is the mother of the continent. When you talk about independence, a lot of African countries got their motivation because Ethiopia was never colonized. Not only that, when you talk about coffee was very first discovered in Ethiopia by Ethiopians, not by colonizers, no, by Ethiopians. They recognize that. Today, some people, they say it was first recognized in Yemen or some other place. No, but it was in Ethiopia, Africa. When you talk about Christianity, it was, Christianity was here in Ethiopia, in Africa, even before colonialism came to the continent. So strategically, that's how it is. And also when you talk about the first man on earth was found in Ethiopia, all right, everything began here in Ethiopia. So I think that if all Africans who are watching this, I think they understand how important Ethiopia is to Africa's history then and even right now today.
It's beautifully put. Thanks so much for eloquently describing Ethiopia. As you know, this country is going through a number of challenges as we speak.
Yeah.
So do you have any message to fellow Ethiopians so that there will be more unity among the Ethiopians?
Yeah, absolutely. Brother, I just came from Rwanda right now. I was invited there by the government of Rwanda for Kwibuka 30. And it is basically the remembrance of what happened in Rwanda in 1994. Right now, it has been 30 years. In 1994, within a range of just 1 month, more than 1 million people were killed. So it was this genocide against Tutsi that it was happening in the country. And just looking at the history, looking at the museum, learning about everything, it really opened my eyes to realize, to see where Rwanda it came from and where it is today. There's a very strategic reason and strategic things that they were done to make sure Rwanda it is where it is today. And 3 strategies that they did. The first thing they did, they said that, you know what, we must unite our people. We must come as one people. Let's not talk about tribes. Let's not talk about religion. We are going to recognize each other as Rwandese people, as one people. They did that. The second thing that they did is accountability. They said, okay, for anything that you do, you must be accountable. You must be responsible. And the third thing that they did, they say, you know what, we're going to think big. We're going to think beyond our tribes. We're going to think beyond our religion. We're going to think beyond anything else. We believe that Rwandese people can actually do better and achieve greater things in our countries. And because of that, regardless of all the challenges that Rwanda is facing today, but they were able to bring their people together and to stand strong until today. My message to Ethiopia and why I'm sharing this story. Ethiopia, this country I love. I've been there so many times. I've met people from different tribes. I went to different regions in Ethiopia. I met amazing and great people. They just recognized me as an African. Simply because I loved Ethiopia, they treated me with respect. They loved me. They cared for me. They gave everything to me. I did not pay a single money when I was in Ethiopia because Ethiopian people, they're just very hospitable towards me and towards my life and towards my mission in Ethiopia. I'm saying this because I want Ethiopian people, first and foremost, to understand who they are. As who they are as Ethiopian. They are Ethiopian. That is the very first identity as an Ethiopian. And there's even, theories that this continent, before it was called Africa, it was called Ethiopia. So just thinking about who you are as an Ethiopian, that actually place all the regions, all the tribes, all people in one category that, you know what, we are Ethiopians. And we Ethiopians, we fight against Italians. We won the Battle of Adwa. Today, Ethiopian, it is where it is. It was never colonized because Ethiopians came together, regardless of their differences, to fight for the independence of the country. And today, Ethiopia, it is where it is. First thing. Second thing, where Ethiopia is coming from. Where are we coming from? We had so many battles in the past. We fought against different countries. We fought different wars, and all of them we won. If we did then, we can do it today within the country. Because if there's any battles of today, it could be about tribalism, it could be about religionism, it could be about different things. But if we won, we've always been victorious. We can be victorious today. The third question, why are we here? So what happened for us, Ethiopia, to get where we are today? There's something, somewhere, something wrong happened. If we analyze this, then we realize that, okay, what is our purpose? Why are we here? Basically, we're talking about purpose, that our purpose, why are we here? What caused us to get where we are today, and how can we get out of this? The fourth question, what can we do? We as an Ethiopian, because we already understand that we're Ethiopian, what can we do today? We need to come together as one people. We need to declare Ethiopia, one Ethiopia, strong and prosperous Ethiopia for the sake of the next generation. Because what is happening today is not just affecting us, Ethiopian, it's going to affect the next generation. The children of Ethiopia, they will want to run away from the country to go to United States, to go to Canada. And what is country is going to left for? It's going to be left with nothing. And the last question, where are we going? Where as a country we want to be? Where as a people we want to be? If we answer these 5 questions, then we're going to realize that, man, we have a huge accountability to take for the sake of the next generation. Not necessarily for us, because it's kind of like too late, but the next generation. We want our kids to grow up in a country that is united, the country that our forefathers fought for so many years ago for us to be here where we are. They paid so much price, the forefathers we see in this t-shirt, they paid so much price for us to be where we are today. And it's our responsibility to do the same thing today, to see, to realize, and to actualize the vision that our forefathers dreamed for, to have a better future for Ethiopia and for our children.
I think it's a timely message, and it's a message worth listening to and heeding. Thanks so much for that great idea, Mika.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's just bring this up to a continental level. And you strongly assert for Africa to be victorious against all sorts of the odds. The only weapon against any kind of oppression, war, intervention, you name it, is unity. And so you're so, supportive of unity as the only means, if you will. So how realistic is African unity in this 21st century?
When you look at the t-shirt I'm wearing, that's a great question, by the way. Thank you so much for asking. You realize that these are the founders of our countries. And not only that, some of them, they build the foundation of the Africa's unity we are talking about today, the African Union, right? OAU. Some of them, you see Haile Selassie here, you see Julius Kambarage here, you see Kwame Nkrumah here, and so many others.
The founding fathers.
They build the foundation. The founding fathers, you know what I'm saying? So what I am doing, what I'm believing on, I'm actually building on the foundation that our forefathers laid the ground on, because I understand we are where we are today because of the sacrifice that it was made by them. And also I believe my children and the next generation will be in a better Africa because of the building and the foundation that I'm doing today. So basically the tomorrow, it depends on what I am doing today. It is realistic for me because my approach is from the bottom up. I'm going to the people. Like today, I just came from one of the universities here in the country in Tanzania, and I was talking to journalists, students, first-year students. I was encouraging them and sharing with them how important it is to actually do research, to actually have our own medias, to actually have excellence and accountability in our work so that we may bring about the good image of Africa, because our image, it has been destroyed for over 60 years right now in the media, but it is our responsibility to clear that image up. So what does this do? And I actually even spoke about Ethiopia. When I was having this lecture with these students, why this is important? It's important because once our people and our kids and the younger generation have a knowledge about Africa, we learn about each other's countries. Then we realize that we have more in common than what we have in difference. And while sometimes politics forces us to divide with one another, forces us to fight with one another, we are encouraging our people that, let's not just sway away by the waves of politics, but let's first and foremost think about humanity and Africans, that we as Africans were one people. An enemy came to divide and conquer Africa. But for us, in order to prosper and to have development in our economy, we need to come together, work together, and unite. So once we have that understanding and knowledge in our minds, once we have understanding of who we are, I believe unity, it's very easy. Because today I will come to Ethiopia, and Ethiopians are not going to treat me as a foreigner from Tanzania, but they will treat me as a fellow African.
Yeah, that's wonderful. However, considering the realities on the ground, there are different kinds of people that have lost hope when it comes to African unity now. They say if Africa failed to get unified in the past, it is now not likely for it to do so. What's your message to them?
I would say this. My message will be this. If you be kind of person that you always stop when you fail doing something, then you're never going to achieve anything. Because failure is part of the process. If you don't fail, then you are to fail. You will fail one day. So we must know that failure is part of the process. And just the fact that you're failing, it doesn't mean that you cannot achieve your goals or your dreams. Okay. But when you fail, the most important thing for you to achieve, you need to sit down and to evaluate yourself. Do the root cause analysis. Why did I fail? What happened? And what can I do better in order for me to succeed next time? And I've done it. Starting with this mission, I've done it. I sit down and I'm like, okay, why are we failing? And I know the problem why. Because a lot of time, when you talk about unity in the continent, we've been talking in the level of leadership. We've been talking through Organization of African Union. But when you look at the organization, you know, almost 70% is being funded by European Union. You cannot have unity you want because somebody else who is feeding you is controlling you. And for them, for us, if we want to be united, and if we're going to be united, it's a loss to them. So my approach, that's why I go back to the people. The African people who we share the same problems, we face the same issues. When there's a war and conflicts in our country, our normal, ordinary folk, they're the ones who are being killed and die. Not leaders, because for them, they can walk away anytime. Not, you know, people with their titles, they can run away anytime, go anywhere. But our people, they're the ones that are refugees. They don't have anywhere place to go. You know what I'm saying? So we are going to those people. People who feel like they're muteless, we're going to be a voice to them. We are going to encourage them, share with them that it's important for us to come together, to have a strong voice. That's why my focus and our focus is ordinary people, because I am just ordinary guy. You know, I don't have any position. I'm not in the government and I'm not anywhere. But I've been frustrated. I've been hurt with so many things that are happening in the continent, and I kind of feel like, I think it's the time to fight for our people and to come together. Beyond failures. Failure is not an option. For me, it's a part of the process, and I'm learning out of it, and I'm carrying on until I see my dream come to pass.
Failure, part of the process. That's a great message. I think that's a great message. So talking about that, Pan-Africanism in the 21st century, what are the opportunities and the challenges?
To be honest, my brother, going around the continent of Africa, I've already visited like 5-6 countries, and I see opportunities everywhere. I've never seen a continent that is bare land. Not only that, but the continent that is wide open for business, for collaboration, for partnership, like the continent of Africa. So imagine if we open up the continent, that means you, brother, you'll be able to come to Tanzania today and do business here. I'll be able to come to Ethiopia and do business there and exchange. You guys might be able to sell wheat to Tanzania, and I might be able to sell rice or avocados, or fish, because I have a lot of fish in Tanzania, to Ethiopia. All these are opportunities. So if we only dare to open up the continent, if you only dare to remove all these visa restriction and treating one another not as foreigners, but just as Africans in another country, then we'll be able to actually grow our economy a lot in just a short period of time. I've seen this news recently that actually Niger, they're going to sell their electricity, diesel with less cost to Mali. Burkina Faso, Chad, and Benin are on the way to come. This is the continent we are talking about. That instead of you bringing your diesel, from Russia or from wherever with higher price, but me from Niger, I'm going to sell to you, Mali, with the less cost, because you're my brother, because we have this, we have this, how can I say, joint venture agreement, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. We're able to work together, to partner together towards to developing our country. I've seen the news about Ethiopia and, Somaliland, the MOU that was going on, that is actually, it's a big of a deal when you talk about Somalia as well. Since things like that, if we open up borders like this, these are possibilities for our countries and our people to interact with one another, work together, and to break ourselves from this shackle of poverty and neo-colonialism that is still coming after us from all these Western countries that we see out there. That's one of the possibilities, and many more that we could have with this, Pan-Africanism. But the challenges, the biggest challenge that I would say is just unawareness, ignorance about each other. Africans, we don't really know about each other. We don't even know how many countries we have in the continent. We don't know our culture. We don't know how to relate with one another. And it was very strategic since the time of colonialism. But we can break it today by opening up the borders and allowing our people moving freely in the continent, learning about each other, learning the countries and the cultures of each other, so that we may be united again.
What is your message to fellow Africans as part of this advocacy efforts toward one Africa and realization of the Africa we want? So take some time and convey your message, please.
Yeah. My message will be this: don't stop fighting. And when I'm saying don't stop fighting, I don't mean physically, I don't mean violence, but I mean don't stop fighting for the Africa you hoped for, for the dreams that you have deep inside your heart. You see where you want to be. You see where you want Africa to be. Never lose hope. Even if you feel helpless, just know that there's so many Africans in the continent and outside of the continent. They fight every single day for this motherland, for the continent. This is our motherland. We cannot run anywhere. We don't have to run anywhere else. This is our motherland. We need to fight for the motherland so that our children and the next generation will have a secure and better future in this continent than anybody else. If we all run away from the continent, nobody is gonna be left behind here. If we all run from this continent, Chinese, Americans, France, European, they will come and take over this place. We cannot afford to run away from our motherland because Africans are being mistreated outside of the continent. We cannot victimize ourselves, but we can use that as the so that it can energize us to work toward a better future for our continent and for the next generation. Great leaders are concerned about the next generation, but politicians are concerned about the next election. Choose who you want to be.
Wow. That's a message. I wish we could continue, but unfortunately we are running out of time. Mika Javalam, thank you so much for the ideas, and also thank you for keeping on this fights for the unity of Africa. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Once again, I appreciate it.